Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church again. Good to have you with you today. I'm pleased to be here. Here it is, the Friday of essentially the last week of January. Yeah, pretty soon spring will be here, which wouldn't be such a bad idea with the kind of snow we've been getting around here. But nevertheless, time moves on, and I'm here to finish out the week with you with another thought, this time from John's Gospel. And I want to look at chapter 18 and just one verse, and that's verse 36. And here's what it says. Well, let me back up a second. This is the context of the trial with Pilate, and Pilate has been questioning Jesus. So Jesus answers his last question by saying, "My kingdom is not an earthly kingdom. If it were, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish leaders. But my kingdom is not of this world." Well, this high drama between Jesus and Pilate is amazing because Pilate really doesn't want to do anything with this. This is not his bag, if you will. As as they say in Eastern Kentucky, he doesn't have a dog in this fight, but he's brought into it anyway because the Jewish leaders are angry and want to get rid of Jesus. He didn't do what they said or what they wanted. He drew people away from them instead of giving them the attention that they craved. And so they connived and schemed and lots of different things. And finally they get him before Pilate. Pilate has him on trial. And Pilate's the only one who can condemn him to death. In those days, the Jewish leaders could make some decisions. They could get somebody flogged up to 40 lashes. That was the limit. They could do some other kinds of punishments like banishments and whatnot. But only the leaders of the civil group, the Romans, could impose the death penalty. And at least as far as the Jewish leaders were concerned, get rid of this guy forever. So they get him there. Pilate's talking with him. Pilate really doesn't want to have anything to do with him. He's trying to find some excuse to say to the Jewish leaders, "I don't find anything wrong with him," which of course he does finally say. But nevertheless, he's talking about an issue that affects the Romans, and that is who really is in charge. Because the Romans don't allow anybody to disagree with them. They are it. Their ways are law. And they deal very harshly with people who try to do something different. You see, in our culture, at least in most of the history of the United States, we haven't had this kind of a situation. Oh, we've had politicians who are vengeful. It's been the truth ever since the beginning. We've even had some really bad revolutions or revolts in our church, in our country's history, including the Civil War that I'm sure all of you've heard about. But what we don't have is some legal authority, civil authority, that demands ultimate allegiance. Now, you do see that in other countries in the world, but at least up to this point, that's not part of our culture. But it was part of the culture where Pilate and Jesus are arguing about this thing. So Pilate says, what have you done? Are you what they're saying? And Jesus comes back with this really profound statement. My kingdom is not an earthly kingdom. Man, Talk about a confusing response. Now, you and I have the advantage of 2,000 years of history, of understanding and interpreting what Jesus meant. Pilate doesn't have that. This is a radically new idea to him. I don't have an earthly kingdom. If I had one, he said, my followers would fight and keep me from being handed over to the Jewish leaders. But my kingdom is not of this world. Well, there are a lot of people in the church today who want to make our country a Christian nation. Now, I have no problems with acknowledging the ultimate supremacy of Jesus. I believe that. But when it comes time to forcing people to do it my way because God is on my side, well, that kind of makes me a little bit edgy. And I think folks' intentions are pretty good. I mean, I don't know for sure. But when we realize that the kingdom of God is not the kingdom of the earth, it's bigger than that. And Jesus said many times, my kingdom is coming. The Old Testament talks about the kingdom of God is coming. And in theology, they call it the not yet principle. It's here, but it's not yet in its fullness. And we live our lives knowing that in this world where we physically live, things happen that aren't right, that aren't good, and aren't helpful. Even some of our laws that we proclaim to be terrific are like that. But recognizing that while I'm here, I'm to live with what's called kingdom ethics. That's Sermon on the Mount stuff. And my allegiance is not to any earthly power. My allegiance is to God. Now, I said this on a 4th of July service one time, and I'll say it again here. I love my country. I spent a lot of my years outside of the country. I never felt any indication whatsoever to give up my passport. I really do. I'm so thankful I was born and raised here. This is my home. This is where I belong. And I love my country, but I only worship my God. And my life is to be lived in honoring Him, not in honoring someone else. If my life doesn't honor God, I failed as a Christian. Now, if your life isn't honoring God for whatever reason, you can change. And you can live the way that God intended you to do in the very first place. Well, think about it. You got the weekend to ponder. Thanks so much for listening. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. God bless you. I'll be back on Monday.